Firstly, I assembled all the Valentine's Day productions offered by Netflix. There are many ways in which romantic couples can make it a very special day. 18 thumbnails per page of stark first impressions. Bridgerton projects viewers back 200 years, and not everyone likes aristocratic presumptions. Foolish comedy of an old favorite gag where some reversal of fates amuses the audience. When Julie meets Bryce in the second grade, she knows it's true love. Nicholas and Isabel were made for each other, but how will they ever know it? An Irish romance to intrigue Irish lovers. Ty Diggs finds that after lost love, his new love comes with a speeding ticket. This writer, Terry McMillan, also wrote the famed Waiting to Exhale. Jennifer Aniston plays a woman who learns that her family was the inspiration for The Graduate, and that she just might be the offspring of the well-documented event. Meg Ryan is Kathleen Kelly, who finds anonymous romance on the internet, but it's book superstore magnate Joe Fox trying to put her small shop out of business. Barbara Streisand as Professor Rose Morgan is delighted to end her dry spell when math professor Jeff Bridges pays some courtly attention. Practically, they are destined to draw together and eventually wed. Amanda Seyfried is Sophie, who travels to Verona, finds an unanswered letter asking for love. She answers it, and the recipient shows up with her grumpy grandson. They all go in search of the long-lost love, and a new love sparks. A Rob Reiner directed, Aaron Sorkin written story, with Michael Douglas playing a widower U.S. president running for election. He meets an environmental lobbyist and falls in love. This leads to the series West Wing. When her older sister elopes with a non-royal, Princess Bee, who has lived her life away from her royal duties, must now step in and honor the arranged marriage to a small kingdom prince. Absurd comedy with Steve Carell, Ryan Gosling, Julianne Moore, Emma Stone, Marissa Tomei, and Kevin Bacon. A middle-aged husband's life changes dramatically when his wife asks him for a divorce. He seeks to rediscover his manhood with the help of a newfound friend, Jacob, learning to pick up girls at bars. Kevin Bacon as David romances Cal's wife Emily. Son Robbie is pining over his older babysitter, Jessica. A careful, busy utilization of time insistently demands organizing principles to discern where things fit or belong in the grand scheme of everything. Are we doomed to be scrolling through a seemingly endless array of possible film productions, wondering which one will yield the most satisfying possible results? It's hard to relax and give time to frivolous entertainment, which aims to base itself around indulging in the pleasures of pure love, assuming such a thing can be found to exist. So much about sex on social media is taken up by the Epstein scandal, which seems to keep on getting more eyeballs as the speculation tends to force viewers to consider a perhaps much deeper level of corruption than they had previously wanted to accept. That must be as a result of the nature of defensiveness for ourselves. So many of us would not have those elements in play. Epstein and Maxwell were fully intending to deliberately trick and ensnare poor, unfortunate, unsuspecting young girls whose parenting was not quite so wealthy or strongly firm on principles. That is like a diabolical opposite of the spirit of St. Valentine's Day. Even if such a thing is somewhat artificial, it creates the desire like fairy tales, especially in young girls who may be more sedulous due to strong desires for personal advancement. What is the relationship between a star-making machine and all the audiences of their fans? How big are the offices devoted to propagating that absurd, ridiculous entitlement which superstardom can enjoy? I know the magnitude of the competing talents has to be assessed with a realistic view. The reckoning will show myriad possible areas of competition. That is the learning experience. Will I learn much from a production? This episode is Valentine's week because I'm focusing on thumbnails that are presented as having potential to be appropriate to the special grand holiday. Maybe Valentine's can't be quite so strong as Christmas or New Year, but it could be aspiring to be a close runner-up. Next week has President's Day, Lunar New Year, Ash Wednesday, and first night of Ramadan. some special dates that can reveal what affinities there are in our grand society, because people will have different levels of response to these holidays, considering if they feel any personal involvement or not. Days will run along as sure as the turning of our blessed planet, and nights will allow relaxation and relief from the vibrant exertions of the days. Sane-minded thinking is infinitely superior overall on balance, because the antisocial abusiveness has proven to be illogically criminal and perverse intentions, which bring about mass protests against the overbearing regime, which is being encouraged by slush money that is funneled away from taxpayers to be used against themselves instead of in favor of their most natural needs. The heart of Valentine is a symbol which is sadly not properly respected by the leadership and acolytes. If the regime is shallow and lacks depth, then we feel frustrated because we deserve a much more deeply profound appreciation of democracy. We have a right to know that the rule of law will not allow crimes by a secret police arm of a dictator tyrant. We can carry on trying to enjoy browsing these fun pictures which aim to tantalize and attract us into knocking off and relaxing to take in all these competitive productions, but I felt a strong need to depart from concentrating on nice, funny Valentine's Day comedies to looking a little more closely at the issue of big donors giving to political figures. We have to wonder what wealthy corporations can do and how they may be likely to affect our daily existences, because we have struggled through the blizzard of lies for decades, and honestly, the sly agendas which rule over information with ulterior motives can have so many more shadowy stories. It requires special effort to try to fully comprehend the pay to play and quid pro quo in politics, referred to as dark money. The term dark money refers to political spending by organizations that are not required to disclose their donors. This has become a prominent topic in political discourse as various interest groups and political action committees have employed these anonymous donations to influence elections and policy decisions. Proponents argue that dark money is a form of free speech protected by the First Amendment, while opponents argue that it undermines the democratic process by obscuring the interests behind political spending. Some say anonymous donations should be banned in politics. Supporters of dark money argue that it serves as a crucial tool for free speech in the political arena. According to this perspective, the ability to donate anonymously allows individuals and organizations to express their political beliefs without fear of retribution or backlash. This is particularly relevant in a highly polarized political environment where public opinion can swiftly turn against those who express unpopular views. Additionally, proponents contend that banning anonymous donations could disproportionately affect smaller donors and grassroots organizations. They argue that wealthy individuals and corporations would still find ways to exert influence through other channels, thereby making it harder for ordinary citizens to compete in the political arena. By allowing dark money, they believe that a more diverse range of voices can be heard, even if some remain anonymous. Moreover, supporters argue that transparency is not always beneficial. In some cases, revealing the sources of funding may lead to undue pressure on donors, which could stifle legitimate political engagement. They contend that creating a system where donors are forced to reveal their identities could discourage participation and limit the diversity of opinions in the political discourse. Of course, there's an argument against dark money. Opponents contend that it poses a significant threat to democracy. They argue that when donors can remain anonymous, it creates a lack of accountability in political spending. This anonymity can enable corruption, as special interest groups may exert undue influence over elected officials without the public being aware of their involvement. Critics contend that this undermines the principle of transparency, which is essential for an informed electorate. Furthermore, opponents argue that dark money can distort the political landscape by favoring candidates who align with the interests of anonymous donors over those who represent the views of their constituents. This can lead to a situation where policies are shaped by a handful of powerful individuals or organizations rather than by the democratic will of the people. Additionally, the lack of transparency can erode public trust in the political system. When voters are unaware of who is funding political campaigns, it raises suspicions about the motives behind candidates' positions and policy proposals. This skepticism can further alienate citizens from the political process, leading to lower voter engagement and participation. The legal framework surrounding dark money is complex and has evolved over the years. The Supreme Court's 2010 decision in Citizens United versus FEC allowed corporations and unions to spend unlimited sums on political campaigns, leading to a significant increase in dark money spending. Proponents of this ruling argue that it is a necessary protection of free speech, while critics assert that it has fundamentally altered the nature of American politics. In response to the rise of dark money, some states have implemented measures to increase transparency in campaign financing. These measures often include requiring organizations to disclose their donors if they engage in political spending. However, the effectiveness of these regulations is a subject of debate, as many organizations find ways to circumvent disclosure requirements. The question of whether dark money should be banned or regulated is a contentious one, with advocates on both sides of the issue arguing passionately for their respective positions. Some propose a complete ban on anonymous donations, while others argue for reforms that increase transparency without infringing on free speech rights. The rise of technology and social media has further complicated the dark money debate. Online platforms have become powerful tools for political communication and fundraising, often allowing for anonymous donations to flow more freely. This has raised concerns about the potential for foreign interference and misinformation in elections, as dark money can be used to fund campaigns that promote divisive or misleading narratives. Proponents of dark money argue that technology democratizes political engagement, allowing individuals to participate in the political process in ways that were not possible before. They contend that anonymous donations can help amplify the voices of those who may not have the resources to compete with well-funded opponents. On the other hand, critics warn that the combination of dark money and digital platforms can create a dangerous environment for democracy. They argue that the lack of transparency can lead to the spread of false information and manipulation of public opinion, ultimately undermining the integrity of elections. The public opinion on dark money is divided. Some polls indicate that a significant portion of the electorate is in favor of increased transparency in campaign financing, while others express skepticism about government regulation of political speech. This division reflects broader societal debates about the role of money in politics and the balance between free speech and the need for accountability. As the political landscape continues to evolve, the dark money debate will remain a contentious issue, with increasing awareness of the implications of anonymous donations. Calls for reform may grow louder. However, any proposed solutions will need to carefully navigate the delicate balance between protecting free speech and ensuring transparency in political funding. The impact of dark money in politics is a multifaceted issue that elicits strong opinions from various stakeholders. While some view it as an essential aspect of free speech that promotes diverse political engagement, others see it as a threat to democratic accountability and transparency. The ongoing debate surrounding anonymous donations will play a crucial role in shaping the future of political financing and the integrity of the democratic process. As discussions continue, it is essential for citizens to remain informed and engaged in order to advocate for a political system that reflects their values and interests. The battle over free speech. Are college campuses silencing debate? The debate surrounding free speech on college campuses has intensified in recent years, drawing attention from students, faculty, administrators, and the wider public. Advocates for free speech argue that universities should be bastions of open dialogue and debate, while critics contend that certain speech can be harmful and should be restricted to foster a more inclusive environment. This blog post explores the various perspectives on this contentious issue, examining the arguments from both sides and the implications for academic freedom and campus culture. The case for free speech. Proponents of free speech on college campuses argue that the primary purpose of higher education is to promote critical thinking and expose students to a diverse range of ideas, even those that may be controversial or offensive. They contend that open dialogue is essential for intellectual growth and that restricting speech can lead to the stifling of important discussions. Supporters often reference the First Amendment, emphasizing that it protects not only popular speech, but also unpopular or dissenting views. They fear that silencing certain voices can lead to a slippery slope where all dissenting opinions are marginalized. In this view, college campuses should encourage robust debate, allowing students to confront challenging ideas rather than shield them from discomfort. Additionally, free speech advocates argue that exposure to different perspectives prepares students for the real world where they will encounter a variety of viewpoints in their personal and professional lives. They contend that grappling with opposing arguments is crucial for developing informed citizens capable of engaging in democratic processes. The argument for speech restrictions. On the other side of the debate, many argue that unrestricted free speech can perpetuate harmful ideologies and create an unsafe environment for marginalized groups. Critics of absolute free speech on college campuses often advocate for restrictions on hate speech, harassment, and speech that incites violence or discrimination. They argue that the primary responsibility of educational institutions is to create an inclusive and supportive environment that allows all students to thrive. These advocates contend that certain ideas can be damaging and that allowing them to flourish on campus can lead to real-world consequences such as increased mental health issues among targeted groups. They often highlight instances of speakers invited to campus who have propagated hate or discrimination, arguing that such events can lead to a hostile environment for students who feel threatened or marginalized. Furthermore, proponents of speech restrictions often emphasize the importance of context when discussing free speech. They argue that the power dynamics present in university settings can make it difficult for some students to express their opinions freely, especially if they fear backlash or social ostracism. In this view, creating a safe space for open dialogue sometimes requires limiting certain types of speech. The role of universities. Universities find themselves at the center of this debate, tasked with balancing the principles of free speech and the need for an inclusive environment. Many institutions have developed policies aimed at promoting both open dialogue and respect for all individuals. These policies often encourage civil discourse while prohibiting hate speech and harassment. Colleges and universities also face pressure from various stakeholders, including students, alumni, and donors, each with differing views on free speech. This pressure can lead to challenging decisions about which speakers to invite and how to respond to controversial events. Administrators must navigate these complexities while remaining committed to academic freedom, which is often seen as essential to the university's mission. Some institutions have responded to the debate by organizing forums and workshops aimed at fostering open dialogue and teaching students how to engage with opposing viewpoints. These initiatives aim to create a culture where students feel empowered to express their opinions while also being respectful of others. The impact on students. The debate over free speech on college campuses has significant implications for students. Some argue that exposure to a wide range of ideas is necessary for personal and intellectual development. They believe that grappling with challenging topics prepares them for the complexities of adult life and encourages them to think critically about their beliefs. Conversely, others contend that the current climate on many campuses can be intimidating for students, particularly those from marginalized backgrounds. They argue that witnessing or experiencing hate speech can deter students from participating in discussions or sharing their perspectives. This fear can result in a chilling effect where students self-censor to avoid conflict or backlash. The tension between these perspectives raises important questions about the role of education in shaping students' beliefs and values. Should universities prioritize fostering a safe environment or promoting unfettered dialogue? The answer may vary depending on individual experiences and the specific context of each campus. The future of free speech on campuses, as the battle over free speech on college campuses continues, it is clear that no consensus has been reached. The challenge lies in finding a balance that respects the principles of free expression while also fostering a supportive environment for all students. This ongoing debate is likely to shape the future of higher education and the role of universities in society. As societal norms evolve and new issues emerge, colleges and universities will need to adapt their policies and practices to address these changes. The conversations surrounding free speech are not likely to fade. Instead, they may become even more complex as new technologies, social movements, and political pressures influence campus culture. In conclusion, the battle over free speech on college campuses reflects broader societal tensions regarding the balance between individual rights and collective well-being. Understanding the diverse perspectives involved in this debate is essential for fostering an informed and respectful dialogue about the future of free speech in higher education. On Amazon Prime, there's a major problem of advertising being more aggravating and even extremely annoying, leads to the money people offering for extra money. You can get ad-free watch time. How much free currency can I blow in a day? I realize that there are definitely malign forces much too close, wanting to not care about screwing people or cleaning them out. The use of money as a tool, which can even become a weapon, is the foulest thing about capitalism. There are films available to rent or buy, and there are other streaming service subscriptions that affluent, wealthy people can pay for. How do you have that much money to pay for multiple subscriptions and have time to watch enough of them to make it worth the expenditure? Stars, Paramount, Wonder, MGM Plus, Core, Cinemax, HBO Max, Peacock, Hallmark, BritBox, BET, PBS Masterpiece, Discovery Plus, VIX Premium. Something awesome that I watched on Amazon Prime was Billy Joe Armstrong and Green Day. He was leaping around the stage as a wild young rock guitar player is expected to do, playing the fast, aggressive music and wowing the huge English crowd. He sure had everyone excited. All that noisy rock music reminded me of when I saw Bob Dylan at Blackbush and Frank Zappa at Nebworth. There was some strong hash going around for those who wanted it in those days. I know there's a general expectation of superfine quality these days with all the digital photography and videography. I also love that very much, but sometimes with the point that I'm making at the time, some of the pictures don't come out as the very best quality, so I hope you can pardon that and appreciate what I'm saying. My views about content are that there are many different categories. The visual quality of content is just one. There's potential dialectical ingenuity in the disclosure of important contemporary discourses. Voice quality and music are also another important dimension, but in creating a weekly journal of my own personal experiences, I have to pick and select what I can manage to take on at the time, for which there is always an inevitable, distinctly definite race. The struggle to have and hold a level of respect that can serve a worthy cause on a consistently vibrant working level is in itself a perennially paradoxical thrall. I suppose people talk about retirement as being the time when enjoyment of free time is most available because the working years would be over and done. I certainly do not feel ready to terminate my lively endeavors, which seem essential and necessary. There is no easy way to try to define special fulfillment for ambitions which have not yet come to fruition. If people try to make you feel embattled, which I think is not uncommon, then the only obvious response is engaging in the combat, which can hope to rescue your value from improper perdition. Issues in the global arena for discussion and debate are being raped by a dictator in chief who never respects even quite eminent scientists or devotees of important causes. The oil companies and other large-scale mining operations and energy corporations want to just ignore any worries about climate change or changes to weather patterns on this planet. However, there have been many serious catastrophes related to petroleum, Exxon Valdez, Deepwater Horizon, and certainly the war of Russia's Ukrainian invasion is not dignified by justice or righteousness at all. The senseless rejection of sensitive ways of working cooperatively to avoid the mad, abusive destructions of warfare is the most lamented, regretted thing. Vladimir Putin has wasted over 1 million soldiers on an illegal violation of a peace agreement. The only thing one can assume is that the leader of Russia does not have any soul even for his own citizens, and quite happily makes them go to be slaughtered by Ukrainian defensive drones that are devoted to the defense of their nation from an aggressor nation that keeps on trying to project a false presumption of entitlement. Unfortunately, we have been witnessing a takeover of the presidency by a richly presumptuous individual who has burned through 6 business bankruptcies, Chapter 11 corporate filings related to his hotels and casino ventures between 1991 and 2014, Trump Taj Mahal 1991, Trump Castle Casino 1992, Trump Plaza Hotel 1992, Trump Hotels and Casino Resorts 2004, Trump Entertainment Resorts 2009, and Trump Entertainment Resorts again in 2014. He moved on from that to a much bigger scam, presidential power tripping. pretending to the American people that sometimes you need a dictator. It's a shame for the world that gangster-style values tend to dominate, because so many famous times the people who have cared about soulful values of humanity have been gunned down. Positions of high importance can polarize that level of controversy. I'm sure that security issues become much more huge when the issues are super controversial. We are not living in easily conciliatory times.